Hey guys, and welcome back to ThreadTension. The title of today's story is My 20F Sister 12F Stole My Credit Card and Racked Up $700 of Charges. WTF. And this was originally posted to r/relationships. Imagine checking your credit card bill and realizing your 12-year-old sister has apparently been quietly shopping online behind your back. Games, subscriptions, Amazon orders, random digital purchases. Roughly $700 gone. That alone would be a disaster. But the money was only one part of it. What really makes this story hit is how quickly it stops being about a stolen card and starts exposing the entire house around it. OP says her younger sister had a major obsession with keeping up with other people. Her friends had things. Beauty influencers had things. YouTubers had things. And she wanted the same lifestyle, the same products, the same image. Their parents had money. So this was not really about poverty or desperation. It was more that they were inconsistent. If the girls did well enough, they could get nice things. If not, they got nothing. So when little sister pulled C's and still wanted an iPhone, the answer was no. That part, by itself, is not especially wild. The problem was how she handled hearing no. This credit card mess did not come out of nowhere. Before any online charges showed up, OP had already been noticing stuff disappear from her room. Makeup, shoes, little personal items. Enough of them that she stopped feeling unsure and started feeling certain. Same shoe size, same taste, same products. So OP did the thing people do when they already know exactly what is happening and just need proof. She set up a camera in her room, and sure enough, her little sister was caught on video going through her drawers and using her vanity. Now this is where OP made a very understandable mistake. She tried to solve it softly. She figured maybe her sister just wanted some things of her own. Maybe if she got a few items the normal way, the sneaking would stop. So OP gave her some unused products. For her birthday, OP and the older sister even chipped in for a Sephora gift card. That sounds generous. It also may have taught the worst possible lesson. Take something, get caught, still end up with more stuff. For a while though, it looked like maybe the problem had passed. Nothing else went missing. The camera stayed quiet. Life moved on. Then the packages started showing up. Amazon deliveries, Sims games, a Netflix account, random purchases a 12-year-old should not have been making on her own. When OP asked where all of it came from, little sister gave vague, slippery answers and acted like she had somehow been winning things. OP did not buy it. Still, she let it sit for the moment. Not long after that, the family computer got wiped. Not slowed down, not glitched, wiped. OP and her mom looked into it and found signs of a system reset. OP had also seen her sister on the computer right before it happened. Same pattern again. Deny, deflect, say nothing useful. By the time OP gets her MasterCard bill, the whole thing finally clicks into place. The charges line up with the exact things showing up around the house. Origin Canada, Netflix, Amazon, eBay, online purchases that matched what her sister had been using. Around $700 total. So OP does what a lot of people do when they are furious, confused, and trying not to overreact. She goes online and asks what she is supposed to do. One of the strongest replies tells her to stop hesitating and tell the parents. If they get angry, then maybe that is the wake-up call her sister needs. OP admits the commenter is right, and in the middle of that, she drops the detail that changes the entire story. She says their dad baby's the youngest. Their parents are older, and she and her other sister have basically become pseudo-parents. That is the pivot. Up to that point, it sounds like a sibling theft story. After that, it starts sounding like a household where the actual adults stopped doing their job a long time ago. OP also posts to legal advice that same day, because now she is trapped in that awful middle space. She wants the charges gone. She does not want to ruin her little sister's future, and the response is blunt. She probably cannot have both. If she reports fraud, there may be real consequences. If she refuses to report it, she may end up eating the loss. No clean, painless option. So before she does anything official, OP decides to confront her sister one last time. She prints the statement, walks into the room, puts the charges in front of her, and little sister denies all of it. Not shaky denial, not partial honesty, just a complete refusal to admit anything. OP starts going point by point. Some of the Amazon packages had labels that matched the charges. Little sister claimed the Netflix account belonged to the older sister, so OP texted the older sister right there and found out she did not even have Netflix anymore because it was too distracting while doing her doctorate. Still, nothing. No confession. No crack in the story. OP says the denial got so extreme that she actually started doubting herself for a second. That is how hard this kid committed to the lie. Then OP remembers one very useful detail. Years earlier, she had helped set up her sister's email account, and her own email was the recovery address, so she resets the password, gets into the account, and finds the receipts. All of them. And suddenly the situation gets even worse. Not only had little sister already spent around $700, she had bought more things the day before. More Amazon, an iTunes purchase, the Sims resource, a Club Penguin membership. For 1 second, that is almost funny. Then it stops being funny because it is obvious she was not slowing down at all. So OP starts doing damage control. She resets passwords, cancels the newest orders, starts contacting companies. Club Penguin actually reverses the charge, which is almost absurd because they come off more responsible than most of the adults in this story. Once OP has everything in front of her, she finally goes to the parents. And this is where the whole thing gets really frustrating, because their solution is basically, "We will pay you back." That is it. No real concern about the lying. No serious talk about how long this has been building. No urgency about getting this child help. Just, "Here is the money. Problem solved." Except it clearly was not solved. And OP tells them exactly that. She says this is not just about being reimbursed. She wants her sister to actually understand what she did. The parents keep brushing it off. So OP draws a line. If they are not going to step up, she is done doing their job for them. She will step back from her sister completely. She will also move her grad school plans out of province. That finally gets their attention, not because their youngest daughter has been stealing and lying for months, because another daughter might leave. That says a lot all by itself. Around this point, OP also says she thinks her sister needs to see a psychologist. And from there, OP starts doing the work the parents should have been doing from the beginning. She builds a plan. Her boyfriend helps. Her older sister comes into town. A cousin the little sister admires agrees to come by. A police officer agrees to talk to her, not to arrest her, to give her a serious shock before life gives her a much harsher one. What I like here is that OP never acts like the theft is fine. She does not excuse it. She does not minimize it. But she also does not forget that this is still a child. She says, in her own words, "She is still my sister. She is 12. That line matters because it shows OP is trying to balance accountability with reality. She is hurt. She is angry, but she still sees someone who might be pulled back before things get much worse. Then OP adds something else that makes the whole story land even harder. She says, "It might be our house, not just her." And that is the bigger truth hiding underneath all of this. This was not just one kid waking up one morning and deciding to become a liar and a thief for fun. OP basically says their parents are deeply dysfunctional, and if her sister can still be turned around, they may need to get her out of that house. That idea gets even bigger in the update. OP says she spent most of the weekend avoiding the family until she picked up her older sister and brother-in-law. The brother-in-law is a neuropsychologist, and in the car, the conversation goes way beyond a stolen credit card. The older sister says that when little sister turns 14, they may be able to apply for guardianship and move both sisters to her province. She had already talked to a lawyer because of their parents' age and family history. That is a huge shift. Now the question is no longer just how to punish a 12-year-old for stealing. Now it is how to get these girls out before the home does more damage. OP also says her older sister admitted the hardest thing she ever did was leave OP and the younger sister behind. And OP tells her she was only 21 when she left. Nobody expected her to save them. That exchange hits because it makes it obvious this family has been carrying pain for years. Eventually, they stage the intervention. The cousin comes over first and brings her dog, which gets little sister out of her room. The dogs go outside. Everybody gets in place. Then the doorbell rings. OP sends little sister to answer it. She opens the door, sees the police officer, and immediately starts crying. He sits down and tells her he is not there to get her in trouble. He is there to talk. Apparently, he even brought a poster board, which is such a specific little detail that it makes the scene feel strangely real. He tells her about young people he has seen make bad choices and end up in serious situations later on. Crime, exploitation, lives that got harder and darker because nobody interrupted the pattern early enough. The message is very clear. This kind of lying does not stay harmless forever. This kind of stealing does not stay small. After that, the cousin talks to her, and honestly, this may be the strongest line in the story. She tells the little sister that she is not a bad person, but the lying has to stop. Because kids who lie grow up into adults who lie, and adults who lie don't get to live nice lives. Simple line, very sharp. Exactly the kind of thing a 12-year-old might actually remember. Then OP talks to her directly. She tells her that all those influencers and celebrities she looks up to work for what they have. Success has a price. People who lie and steal are not heading toward that kind of life. She tells her she is only 12. She still has time. She can still build something good, just not like this. The older sister and brother-in-law follow that up with something real. If she gets a 3.5 in her first year of high school, then after OP graduates, she can come live with them. They even show her printouts of the house they want to buy. 3 dogs, more freedom, a better environment, an actual future she can picture. The officer points at the poster board and basically asks whether she wants to end up like the people in those stories. And that is where little sister finally breaks. She goes over to OP, hugs her, and apologizes. No excuses, no fresh lie, no attempt to dodge it, just a real apology. OP says that was enough for her. After that, they put together a structure. Little sister is going to help pay OP back by walking and feeding the dog every second day. She is learning to do her own laundry. She is getting a bus pass and learning to get to school on transit. She is going to study with OP. If her grades improve, there may be rewards. If she slips back into the same behavior, the deal is off. She also has to hand over her passwords, stop lying, show her homework, and start journaling. OP even buys her a cheap journal because she had found a bunch of story files on the computer and thought writing might help her deal with emotions before they turn into more lies and meltdowns. Now, not everybody in the comments loved every single part of that plan. Some people were mixed on the scare factor. Some thought the reward side sounded a little soft, but the broader reaction was still pretty clear. Most people thought OP and the older sister were the only ones in that house actually trying to combine accountability with hope, and that is what makes this story stick. On the surface, it is about a 12-year-old stealing $700. Underneath that, it is about 2 older sisters trying to keep a child from becoming the next casualty of a broken home. Even the BAW discussion picked up on that. A lot of people pointed out the parents were not really just strict. They sounded harsh with the older girls, then neglectful with the youngest. One commenter mentioned that OP had once said she was physically punished over getting a 98 on an exam. Once you step back, the shape of the whole story changes. One child got fear, one child got neglect, and the older sisters got pushed into cleanup duty. That is why the money almost stops being the point by the end. The theft matters, the lying matters. But the bigger reveal is that this girl did not grow up in a stable home and suddenly choose chaos out of nowhere. She grew up in a house where the rules were warped, the parenting was broken, and responsibility kept landing on whoever was oldest and still trying. And that is why the ending works. Not because it is neat, because it is not. Nobody magically becomes a great parent. Nothing gets wrapped up perfectly. What OP gets is one real apology, one honest intervention, a plan, and one narrow chance to pull her little sister back before life gets much harsher than a credit card bill. Honestly, that is probably the best outcome this situation was going to offer. So let me know what you think. Was OP right to hold off on pressing charges and try to save her sister first? Or do you think the lying, the denial, and the repeated stealing meant she needed a much harder consequence immediately? And bigger than that, who do you blame most here? The little sister who stole the card? Or the parents who left everybody else to do the raising?